Hi. Well, it's another beautiful day. And today I want to talk about an attachment. Now, this attachment is your sense experience. You are attached to your eyes, your ears, your nose, your smell, your taste. Of course, you feel. You're attached to that because you think you're a body. Now, this body is basically not you, but nonetheless you believe that it is because it's been yours for so long. Okay? Now, what does this mean? It means that the way you experience the world, the way you get information into your brain, okay, is not necessarily reality. Okay? It's the way you see the world, the way you experience the world, which is kind of unique for each person. And basically, it ties you down. It keeps you in suffering. Now, in addition to that, you also are attached to the way you think you are. Okay? For instance, let's say you're 20 years old. Well, you think you're an athletic or non-athletic, handsome or non-handsome, whatever it is, or beautiful if you're a woman. Okay? And that mindset, okay, of how you think you are, it is like written in stone. Okay? I mean, so anyway, how do we escape from this trap? Well, by remembering who we are. Now let's talk about who we are. Basically, we are a big blob, way bigger than our bodies. Our bodies are form. One tiny slice of this big blob is form. The rest is spiritual, okay? And this big blob basically is everything. Okay, everything that exists and is alive is part of you. Okay? And this is what is. Now, you believe that you're separate. You believe that you are alone. You believe that there is no anything besides you and other people, of course, and things, and so on and so forth. So that is what you believe. That is what you've been taught from the beginning when you were a baby in your crib, okay? And you went like this, which you did, okay? That was the beginning. Because you were using your sense experience, which is not your experiences, though they're connected, and you were getting the feel of having sense experience, which is the ability to sense things like light, shapes, so on and so forth. So that is what it is. However, that is not who you are. You are everything. Okay? And you are a soul, too. Now, I know this is a hard concept to grasp, but that is just the way it is. Okay? I know it's easy for me to say these things because, I'm the one saying them. But it's hard to understand how your sense experience could be part of a trap, which it is. It's the same trap that involves your thinking of who you are, who you think you are, okay? Which is how you see yourself. Okay? I don't know if anybody remembers the Matrix, but when Neo got onto the ship, and then Morpheus took him to the not the Matrix, but the planning stage, whatever it was. And he didn't have a bald head, and he didn't have any things in his arms and neck. Okay, that was the way he saw himself. Okay, they called it residual memory of the way you're supposed to look, and that is a part of the trap that sense experiences are in. Okay, because these two things work together. First of all, everything out there is to you information, regardless of what you think. I know there's beauty in sunsets and forests and so on, but it's really just information. Okay, and that information is what your brain lives on. Okay? Now, that's fine. Okay? But the ego tends to grab onto things, okay, and make them a part of itself, which makes them a part of you. So, that's how that goes. Okay? This thing inside of our minds, okay, I don't know if it's in the brain. The brain is a physical object. We are not physical objects because our minds cannot be found. they can't detect them. Okay? Isn't that crazy? Anyway, the point is you believe that you are the way you are, and that's the way you should be, right? And so you have an expectation of being the way you are, and the expectations always lead you down a dark path. Okay? So that's part of the trap. The other part of the trap is your sense experience, the way you see everything else besides yourself. Okay? The way you smell everything, the way you feel everything, and hear everything, taste everything. And the reason these are traps is because it ties you to being a separated person, okay? Which you are not, although you think you are, because of the illusion of separation. Okay, yes, you are a person and you have a body. You are separate in that way, but you aren't separate in the vast majority of your being. Remember that blob we talked about? Okay? I don't know a better word. Sphere, maybe? Anyway. So, because you can't smell, taste, hear, touch, or see this vast majority of yourself that you don't know about, you basically say it doesn't exist. That's what you do. Okay? And so, you are not open to the spiritual plane. That's it, okay? Because you are attached to just being you, just being this separate person. So that's what it is. And what I want doesn't really matter, but I would like people to start waking up because this world is in a terrible fix, and if we don't do something, it's going to just get worse. And we can't do anything until people start to wake up and see what's going on. Because you can't really see what's going on when you're in a dream, which you are unless you're on the path to awaken. Okay? So, back to the attachment. So this thing, this ego that's in your body, or in your mind, okay, sorry, it's not in your body, okay, has a way of grabbing onto reality itself and changing it to suit its purposes. That's what it does, okay? Because it thinks you can't handle reality. That's what it thinks. Okay, I mean, I have no idea what it thinks, but generally speaking, that's the way it acts, so one assumes it thinks. And of course, it does think because it does all your thinking for you. Now, I know these are concepts that are hard to understand, and I'm not saying they are easy, but what I am saying is that in order to awaken, in order to get free of these things that are tying you down, okay, your unhappiness, your sadness, your feeling of not being enough, your feeling of not fitting in with the rest of society, whatever it is, okay? Because everyone has some sort of suffering. That's just the way it is, okay? And in order to get free of that suffering and free of the thoughts that cause the suffering, you have to accept what is. You have to realize who you are. Now, the reason it's so hard to realize is because of all these illusions and attachments, okay? This stuff, flesh, it's very convincing. And so it's hard to see through it. It's hard to see past it. But you can see past it by realizing who you are. That you are not the ego that does all its thinking for you, okay? That's not you. All those decisions that were made by the ego are not you. Therefore, really, the person that you think you are doesn't exist. It's just a construct of the ego. Now, I don't really know what the ego is. Nobody does. We just call it this because, I don't know, Sigmund Freud came up with the name. But anyway, the point is that this ego, this fake identity, which is what I like to call it, is using these things to keep you down on the farm. And that's just what's going on. Now, how do we get free of this idea of who we are? This vision of who we are? Well, for one thing, we have to accept that we are seeing something that is impermanent. That's it. You are impermanent. Okay? This world is impermanent. This world is going to change, and it's going to keep changing, and you are going to change and keep changing no matter how old you are or how young you are. It doesn't matter. Everything is going to continue to change. The world, the universe, is in a state of flux. This can be seen by the fact that we're all accelerating, all the different galaxies of the universe are accelerating away from each other. Okay? What's that about? So, the universe is in flux, and so are you and everything else that exists. Except, of course, the formless dimension and God. And if we cannot accept our own impermanence, okay, and if you are a little older, you've seen the wrinkles on your face when you wake up in the morning, there they are. You've seen maybe your hair going a little gray. You know that you're changing, okay? When you're young, you think you're immortal and that's going to last forever. Well, that's fine. I've got no reason to shatter the illusions of anybody who's young. Have a great time. The point is, in order to get free, in order to awaken, okay, which is the first step, okay, in your spiritual journey, is awakening. Before you awaken, though you're on the spiritual path, you haven't entered your journey, okay? So, in order to get on the path, we have to accept what is. And what is that you are not a person in reality. You are a soul and part of everything that exists. Okay? And once you can realize and recognize who you really are, a lot of the unhappiness will go away. Because we have this idea of ourselves, which we think is true. And so, that's the way it is. Okay? And this idea of ourselves is kind of like an illusion, because even though we know we're changing, even when we're, say, 15 years old and we see ourselves going through these changes, we still have this idea of ourselves that basically doesn't change. Okay? And as we get older, more changes happen, so on and so forth. Because basically, we fear the unknown. Okay? And one way of dealing with the fear of the unknown is to pretend it doesn't exist. That's what we're doing, okay? I obviously am not melting away before your eyes, but one day I will melt away, and that will be it. And so will you and everyone else and everything else in this universe. So, am I going to cling to this person that I think I am? This separate individual, okay? I know we all love being individuals and individualism. That's absolutely great, fantastic, okay? But you are not an individual because you are not you, okay? And you can't be an individual if you are part of everything else. We have this idea in our heads that we are individuals, okay? And goes through the whole culture, okay? And so this is part of the trap of your sense experiences and who you think you are. So, in order to awaken, we must accept. Everything is about acceptance. You have emotions that you don't like, accept them, okay? And we must accept that we are not who we appear to be. Okay? You're not who you appear to be. You appear to be a human being living on this planet. Well, that is not who you appear to be because you are a massive, huge, gigantic universe. That's who you are. If you think you're just one person, okay? Which I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being one person. Plenty of people have achieved a lot being one person. That's great. That's fantastic. Okay? But if you want freedom, then you've got to be more. And the way to be more is to understand who you really are. That's it. Okay? I mean, it's a recognition. It may not happen right away, but as long as you do practices, which I've taught you how to do, and there are tons of other practices out there in the Buddhist world, so, you can find those online, I'm sure. I'm not necessarily a Buddhist. I was raised a Christian, so it's hard for me to completely give that up. I still kind of believe in Jesus Christ, though not really. Anyway, the point is that we need to accept what we are, which is a soul, which is part of everything that exists because it's part of God. Now, maybe you don't believe in God, fine. Enough about God. So, your consciousness is part of the collective consciousness of the universe, okay? Which you have to admit must exist because we are conscious, and everything else that has a certain intelligence level, like aliens, are conscious too, okay? And your consciousness is part of the consciousness collective of the universe, okay? And therefore, that consciousness collective is you, okay? And if you awaken, then that consciousness collective will effectively also begin to awaken. And the more people that awaken, the more the collective consciousness will awaken. And the universe will get more consciousness, which is what it basically wants, okay? So, if you don't believe in God, fine. The collective consciousness of the universe, okay, is who and what I'm talking about. Now, we can call that God. But anyway, the point is, you can awaken. It's possible. It's been done many, many times by many, many people. Okay? I know this may be a new idea to you, but it's an idea that you'll find is, as you go through life, gets more and more attractive. The idea of not having to listen to your thoughts anymore, of not doing the things you don't know why you're doing them, which plenty of people can attest is something we do, right? The reason you're doing them is because you have been programmed and conditioned to do them by your ego and by society. So, we must accept that this is happening. We must accept that the world is not as we believe. The world and the universe is not what we believe it is because it's being filtered by our brains and the ego, however you want to call it, and conceivably twisted according to how we see the world, okay, and how the ego wants us to see the world, okay. The ego makes a judgment at some point in time when you're 15 or 20 or something, and it decides whether or not you are a winner. And if you're not a winner, if it decides you're not going to be a winner, then it starts making you feel bad. Okay? That's just the way it is. Because that's what it wants. It wants to win. Okay? And if it can't win, then there's only one other thing it can do to feel bigger, and that's to make you small. That's it. Okay? And as long as you allow this thing, this ego in your mind to continue running the show, which is what it's doing, then you will suffer. That's the way it is. And the way to not do that is to start on the spiritual path. Accept that you are a soul. Once you accept that you're a soul, really accept it. I know everybody can accept things to some certain extent. Some people can't accept them all the way. Okay? There's levels of acceptance, just like everything else. Okay? This is really, 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 really accepting in the heart of your heart. Okay? I know it's hard. Okay? And the reason I'm making these videos is to try and help you to do that. I hope I'm having some success out there. Anyway, where was I? So you must accept. You must accept that your sense experience, okay, is not you. That's it. Your sense experience is not you. You are a spiritual being. You do not need senses. We're all addicted to seeing, aren't we? We have big screen TVs and so on and so forth. Yes, we all love seeing and hearing. Don't we love seeing? When you lose your hearing, don't you feel bad? Don't you go to the hearing center and get a new hearing aid so you can hear again? Or you smell. People have lost their smell because of different stuff. And then their life is just shit. And taste. People have lost taste. Okay? But we always have feel. So that's one thing we can't lose. Unless you get skinned alive. In which case you'd be dead. Anyway, the point is, these things aren't us. I know it seems like they are us. It's hard to even imagine that these things aren't us. This incredible amount of visual information, auditory information that is constantly pouring into us from a variety of sources, okay? That keeps our brain ticking, okay? Smells, tastes, feels, okay? All of this is not you. Because you are not this body. You are not this brain. You are a soul. And that is what you truly, truly, truly are. At the core of your being. Okay? Now, I don't know where the idea of the soul came from, but it must be true because it's been passed through every culture. So, I assume it is. And I felt my soul respond to God, which is an incredible feeling. So therefore, it's possible for everyone to feel that. God came down, okay? And his light went into me, okay? And everything started glowing. The dog had big shafts of light coming out of it. The trees had light coming out of them. This light is still there. We just can't see it. Okay? The grass, every single thing that's living has the light of God in it. And this light of God is what matters in this world, because it is the only thing that we care about. Really, everything that you think you care about, everything that you think you know about what you care about, is coming out of God. Okay? Because God is love. Okay? And when you feel God's love, you know it. Okay? And God is also everything else too. So, when you're skiboarding, snowboarding, or jumping out of an airplane, or surfing, you're feeling your connection to not only all the life around you, but to God. That's why it feels so great. And that's what you can feel all the time. You don't have to just feel it when you're snowboarding or surfing, okay? Or for couch potatoes, never. You can feel it all the time because that is what awakening is. That is what it does. Love, peace, joy, incredible joy. Plenty of people feel joyful, but they're feeling that joyful filtered through other people. It's coming from God, but it's not direct. So it's not as good as, or as intense as, the joy that God gives you directly. And these things are available to you. All you have to do is accept. Accept that you are a soul. Accept that you are not this body. You are not your five senses. You're not your brain. That is not who you are. That is a tiny part of you. Okay? And that is why you must awaken. Because this tiny part of you is nothing compared to the huge blob of spiritual energy that you are. Okay? It's fine if you want to live with just this tiny portion of you that you can't experience. Okay? I'm not saying that's bad or wrong or anything else. I mean, that's what we have. That's what we're given, right? But you can have so much more. So, I know it's hard. Okay? But entering into the spiritual path by accepting who you really are. You are a soul. You don't have a soul because you can't possess a soul. You are a soul. And as long as you believe, or if you don't believe in God or souls, you are consciousness. Okay? That is who you are. You are awareness. Nothing would be possible without awareness. Even if you have no senses, you still have awareness. Okay? Because that is who you are. You still have consciousness because that is who you are. Okay? They're the bedrock of everything that you think you are, but they are who you are. Okay? All this other stuff that's piled on top of you is not you. I know I've said some of this stuff before. Anyway, what I'm trying to get across is that these things are very difficult to try and understand on your own. That's why I'm here, to help you understand them. Okay? If you're on the spiritual path, you're beginning to let go. You're beginning to see all the things that it's so hard to see. But when you awaken, then you can see those things. And those are what I've seen. And that's why I'm doing this, so that you can have this guide. Okay? Anyway, I love you all because you're me. There's no difference between you and me and everyone else on this planet. There's no difference between us and the trees. There's no difference between us and a blade of grass, because the soul is who we are. And a blade of grass has a soul. We don't like to admit that, but that is just the way it is. So, because it came from God. Everything that lives has to come out of God. All right. Well, I guess I should stop. Have a great day and a great life.